Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Gaerea, Loss, out March 20th on Century Media Records. The album has 9 tracks, 46 minutes in length, and this is the band's 5th full-length studio album. They are a Portuguese metal band. Now when it comes to the design of this record, I love the album from the way it showcases itself and the way that it presents itself. This is a record that starts off with a song called Luminary. Now that song, musically, it's very connected with the previous 4 records. And I think having a song like this starting off a record is great because it allows the listener to ease into an album feeling somewhat comfortable and not necessarily being jarred right from the get-go. The differences in the evolution of the band start with a chorus of Luminary, and then they never end. They introduce small elements with each and every single song, building up, growing as you go along, until the record finishes off with 2 of the most unique songs that the band has ever released, and definitely 2 of the most unique songs on this record, Nomad and Stardust. Specifically, Stardust. That song is completely out of the box, at least most of it is out of the box, as far as Gaerea's DNA, or at least what we've gotten to know to be their DNA, the previous 4 records are concerned. This way of presenting the album allows you to see the growth, the development, the changes in the band very gradually with each and every single song. This also allows for the listener to immerse itself into that experience and not find it as jarring or as jolting as having a lot of changes right off the bat. So this is more gradual, allows you to put your toes into the water, get to feel the temperature of the record, and when you're immersed in it, that's when everything comes to the surface, when all of the uniquenesses come to the surfaces and everything culminates with the closing song, Stardust. Great way of developing an album, great way of presenting a record. As far as the sound is concerned, the band is not completely shedding their black metal skin. There's still a lot of black metal on this record. I just don't think that this is a pure black metal album. There's other influences like post-black metal and specifically metalcore. This album has a lot of metalcore elements in it. I don't find these genres complete opposites of one another. At the end of the day, they're all part of metal, and the way Gaerea presents these influences, they all make up for extreme metal. And that's what this album is an extreme metal sounding record that doesn't bound itself to just a specific genre, but rather takes influences from different genres in order for the band to better represent not only who they've been, but currently who they are. The album has incredible production behind it. It sounds massive. For an album that has a lot of black metal influences, the album sounds so wide, so big, almost like an arena style sounding record. And I think that's an important aspect for the band as they grow. You also want to grow your sound and not limit it yourself. So representing the aggression, the intensity, the darker side of the band while still keeping the size of the songs as big as they are is definitely a winning formula as far as I'm concerned. This album also has a lot more melody. And the darkness that exists in this record is not a darkness that collapses upon itself as we saw perhaps in the first 2 albums by the band, but it's rather more of an atmospheric one. This album is incredibly atmospheric when you look at the way the darkness comes across, when you look at the impact that the overall melodies have in these songs, both on a musical side but also the melodies from a vocal standpoint. This album really becomes more of an atmospheric record, and that allows the black metal side of the band to showcase itself in a different light. And I think that is definitely one of the growth elements that you're going to find on this record. The guitars on the album are rich, they're wide, they're more textured, and definitely more melodic. Still super driven at times, still super dark, still super aggressive, but I felt like the overall guitar sound on this album is definitely the richest and most textured that we've seen from this band. I think they executed elements guitar-wise on this record that they haven't done up until this point. The same could be said for the drums, but the drums are always a consistent element with every single record. This album, I didn't feel that many changes on the drum side as I felt on the vocals or even on the guitars. The drums help give size to the tracks, help give heaviness. The drums are incredibly heavy on this album, regardless of the direction that the songs are taking. When the tracks become or reach their heaviest point, the drums are there to put an exclamation mark on it. They definitely help define what the heaviness and aggression of the band sound is all about. Now, once you get into the clean vocals or the vocals in general, I think you're going to find those clean vocals to be incredibly impactful. I enjoyed the aspect of the atmospheric side of the sound and how those clean vocals really interact well with it. I'm a fan of clean vocals on aggressive records as long as they're done incredibly well, as long as they're done in order to make the songs feel more complete. And on this record, I honestly felt that. I didn't feel like it was a gimmick. I didn't feel like it was just something that modern bands are using. I really felt like it was necessary in order to tell the stories that they're trying to tell with these songs, in order to paint a vivid picture. Also, not restraining the band to just one vocal approach allows them musically to go much further. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. They're pushing the envelopes musically, and they can't leave the vocals behind. The vocals need to match that same development. So using clean vocals, really clean vocals, more screaming clean vocals, and then the more prototypical Gaerea harsh vocals allows them to have a much more dynamic approach vocally throughout the entire album. And I think that is something that we're going to see a lot more of the band going forward. This album is perhaps the catalyst of this change, making it all one of my favorite records, if not my favorite album by Gaerea. This is an emotionally charged record, and I don't think you can deliver that sort of emotion without those clean vocals, without those melodies, and without the changes that the band has imposed on themselves with a creative approach behind this record. I love this album. Really easy to get into it, really easy to be immersed in it, really easy to listen to. Definitely one of the easiest listening album experience that I've had in a long time, in terms of losing track of time, in terms of losing myself in the album, and just really enjoying the journey and not worrying about anything else around me. Some people will say that this is moving towards a pop realm, or that the band sold out, whatever the case might be. I don't see it that way. I still feel like the aggressive, the more intense side, the more black metal side of the band is still represented on this record. They just allowed the door to open up a little bit wider and allowed other influences in. As far as favorite songs are concerned, 3 tracks that I think are super unique. Luminary, the opening song. The uniqueness of this song I mentioned already is the fact that musically and vocally, the way the song starts really feels connected with the previous 4 records. It feels like a track that could have been on any of those albums. So having that as the starting point, in my opinion, was a smart move. Allows you to feel connected with the record right from the get-go. And if you're a fan of the band, that is a sound and an experience that you're familiar with. Everything changes once it hits the chorus. The chorus with the cleaner vocals definitely infuses a different atmosphere, definitely infuses a different melody to the song, and that's where you start to see the changes happening, and that is the catalyst of all the changes that will happen down the line. I enjoy this aspect. I enjoy these 2 sides of the same coin, allowing to have the verses feel more heavy, more brutal, a little bit of the origins coming to the surface, and then the cleaner, more melodic, more melancholic side of the chorus, which allows the new wave of their sound to creep into this track, merging both the past and the present extremely well. Then you have a song like Nomad, right at the bottom of the record. Most unique songs on this album come at the bottom of the record. Nomad and Stardust are 2 closing songs. Nomad has incredibly heavy drums. The drums are outstanding. Overall, the song sounds very heavy, and it has this incredible melody that just kind of blankets that heaviness. The heaviness coexists with it and coexists underneath it, which is really cool because that melody adds this somber darkness to the song, which that somber darkness enhances the heaviness of the sound. Everything is intertwined perfectly. Harsh vocals on this track add to that sense of heaviness, add to that sense of aggression, but allowing the song to still feel very rich and very textured at the exact same time. The melody that creeps in and creeps out, keeping that atmospheric dark balance of the track alive and well, and then the softer vocals in the chorus are just excellent. It's almost like an exhaling of all the emotions that have been built up on the inside. The chorus with those cleaner vocals allows everything to just simmer and becomes more reflective. It's almost like you're reflecting on the thoughts that were represented with aggression in the verses. Really good dynamic, really strong song construction, and incredible delivery. Last but not least, Stardust. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is the most unique song on the record, both musically and vocally. When I talk about clean vocals on this track, you're really going to get clean vocals. You're going to get at times a little bit more of a modern metalcore sound with some electronic elements in that sound, creating an atmosphere, creating a broader, more lighter experience, but incredibly dark because of the melancholy that's built into that sort of experience. They didn't go away with infusing some heaviness, some darkness, some harsh vocals. All of that is still there, but the overall metalcore style, design, approach, execution of this song really sets it apart. I think this is one of the most jarring songs on this album because of how unique it is, not just for the record, but for the band. Keeping it as the closing song, I think, is absolutely perfect because it comes as a surprise, but after you listen to the whole album, you're not as surprised anymore. If this was the opening song, I think a lot of people would have a hard time perhaps listening to the rest of the record. That's how jarring this track can be, specifically if you're a hardcore fan of the more black metal sound that Gaerea had earlier on in their discography. So keeping this song for last works really well as far as I'm concerned, and I really like this song in terms of how different and unique it is. Almost a melancholic, melodic, metalcore, blackened ballad, if you will. It has all of those elements in one. It's a really interesting track. It's a style and an approach that some bands have gotten close to. I look at the latest album from Lorna Shore, and they have a song that kind of reminded me a little bit of this one, and in terms of the feeling, in terms of the experience. But I don't think any band in this genre has ever gone, and when I mean this genre, I mean a band in extreme metal or black metal like Gaerea. I don't think any band has ever gone into this realm and with a song as defining as this one is. It's a great track, great closing song. Once again, I don't think you can put it anywhere else, but definitely a track that's going to get people talking. That is for sure. This is it. Gaerea with Loss, out March 20th on Century Media. Let me know your thoughts on the band. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next one. Take care, guys.